My name's Jamie. I'm originally from West Palm, but now I go to school in Duval, so now I live in Jacksonville. Duval. All right, so we've been learning a lot about discovering ourselves, and the first talk was about identity and then moving on to family and perfect moments. So now we're going to talk about friendship. Next slide, please. So one thing I want to bring about friendship is that, like, no man is an island. And what I mean by that is that whether you know it or not, you depend on somebody in your life out there. We always have somebody that we need to call when we need comfort, when we need advice. And it comes to a point where sometimes we even confide in our friends over our parents because they're the ones who we trust. So we really don't understand the impact of what friends do in our lives until, I don't know, something bad or good happens. But that's why I put these pictures up because, Moana and Maui, they have a really good bond that they mended things in the end to help the greater good of others. And then Buzz and Woody. Reflex, sorry, I know my pics are cool. But Buzz and Woody always had each other's backs, and so did Serena and Blair. They did too. Next slide. All right. So one thing I want to touch on is that not every single friendship we approach in our lives is going to be a healthy one. We're going to approach friends that turn their backs on us, or we have to turn our backs on them. Or at times that they make us do stuff that we don't want to do. And it makes us question our values. And there are things out there that are destroying, that make us more tempted to lean towards Satan. And Chinky one time told me, she was like, the devil comes in all forms. So what I mean by that is the devil even comes within friendships. So one of the things that make our friendships destroy who we are is when our friends cause us to sin, to do things that aren't right. So whether that be gossiping about another friend behind their backs, or when your friend encourages you to skip school with them so you guys can go shopping, or even the simplest of things like cutting church, or disobeying your parents and lying to them about where you actually are because you merely are refraining from telling them the truth. Also, another thing that destroys friendships is when our friends make us conform to the wrong set of values and challenge our lifestyle about being 100% free. So on the top right, I have a movie called Savages up there, and I didn't watch it. I don't plan on it either. I just put it up there because I found out that movie goes against the Christian and Catholic values. For starters, my god sister told me that the first scene of that movie was a lustful scene. So when your friends encourage you to do things such as watching these pornographic movies, or even taking drugs and alcohol when we're not supposed to, that's when things get bad for us. And it also gets bad when we allow our friends to have more influence on us than our parents, and they make fun of the values that are taught to us at home. So when I was growing up, I had a 10th birthday party. And I remember that my parents, so I invited my school friends, and my family invited our friends too. And I was really embarrassed when my mom was like, all right, gather up, we're gonna pray over the food, because I was scared of what my friends might think. And one of them even made a comment about it, like someone, I don't even remember the girl's name, but she was like, oh, that was really weird that they prayed over the food. So like after that, even though I was 10, I was like merrily shooked about that. Like I made sure at my next birthday, I was like, Mom, I don't even know why I made up this excuse, but I was like, I got Jewish friends, so we can't pray. But later on, like I learned that we should respect like the beliefs that we have. We should defend our faith, and we should believe that our parents know what's best for us despite any difficulty, like what Kokoi said in his talk, that sometimes it's hard to keep your bond with your family, especially in difficult times, but that's when we need to. So friends also destroy us when they become a bad influence on us because of their brokenness. And what I mean by that is that we could have a friend out there who is having some serious issues, and that negativity can come into your life, and it can start making you a miserable person. So it starts, like, your perspective on things start to change because this person and their brokenness is changing the way you feel about the happiest times of your life. And in the end, you feel bad about yourself even though it's not your fault. And the last one is friends who commit the sin of omission. And what that means is that when your friend sees you doing the wrong thing, but they don't tell you to do the right thing. So, for example, let's say Joni and the Cruzes and I go to Disney World, because we did that yesterday. So we come home on a Sunday, even though that's not what our annual pass lets us do. But we get home and we're just like, oh no, Mass, I don't want to go. But I'm like, let's go. But then they're like, I don't want to go. And then we stay at home instead of going to Mass. So, not that they would ever do this to me, but they're letting me do the wrong thing, even though they know it's the right thing to go to Mass, even though Disney killed us. All right, so the next thing I do want to talk about, next slide, is what is true friendship? And this is my life in a couple of pictures. Why are you laughing? That's you up there, man. These are the friends I've made over the years. You can see that I have West Palm up there, Alexis in Tampa, and some kids from Jax, my roommates up there too, and Chinky, and the Barlons made it up there too. So, all right, let's talk about what true friendship really is. All right, next slide. Raise your hand if you've gone to a household or an assembly within the last month or two. All right, so as YFC, or Youth for Christ, it's our purpose to bring joy to each other's lives in addition to spreading Christ around wherever we go. So when we go to households, we usually go to see our friends or if we're coerced, but we end up there anyways, God's will. So the whole point of households and assemblies is that it helps us experience the kind of friendship that brings us life. So after this camp, we will experience a deeper level of friendships with our brothers and sisters. I know it's sometimes hard to go to your households and assemblies because we always put in the back of our minds, like, look at all this homework I have to do, or I could be at the mall instead of sitting right here right now. And it's hard for us to focus during those times, but I want to challenge you guys that the next assembly or household you guys go to, that you intently listen on whatever your household leader is saying, and just keep your minds open and your hearts open, and God will do the work within you. So we're going to learn how to discern, how to love and serve your brothers and sisters more. And it's also important that it's in Corinthians, it's on one of my Tumblrs, is that with all that you do, do everything in love. And I don't know the exact numbers, but that's the verse. So as we become better friends and learning what it is to be a true friend and what it means to have a true friend in our lives, I want you guys to keep that in mind, that no matter what you guys do it within love. All right, so let's see. So first things first, true friends are not true friendship is not exclusive. So what I mean by that is that when you guys are going to your households and your assemblies, I know that we all have our set of friends and that we may be closer to other people than another person, but it is important that you guys include everybody that's there in whatever your activities you're doing. It's important to make sure that you don't make this person feel left out, because then they'll feel bad and sometimes they might not want to come back. So always be welcoming to the people within your assemblies and your households. And just try to be outgoing more. If you see someone sitting by themselves, try to talk to them, see what's up with their days, and learn more about them. And I do want to share a quick story about one of the pictures up there. So the bottom right, that's Haley Greenlaw from Tampa. And the way I met her is because we were at a retreat. It was called the Call of Duty retreat. It was last year. And one of the activities was that the service team blindfolded everybody. And so the whole point of this, basically, they sat us with people that they thought that we would never talk to if we weren't blindfolded. So we were blindfolded, so I had no idea who she was, but she knew who I was because I had a cast, and it was really loud because I was itching it all over the place. And then I laughed, so she's like, "Oh, you're the girl with the cast," and I was like, "Yeah, that's me." And so she knew it was me, but then I didn't find out it was her until April, because somebody finally told me that's Haley, and I was like, "Oh my God, that's Haley." So basically, we bonded over, even though I thought that activity was I can't believe they're blindfolding me. Why can't I just do this with my eyes open? it was, even though I was blind, it was like truly an eye opener, because like this is the way you discover more friends. This is the way you discover yourself and discover what you want to see more in people. Even though I couldn't see her, I knew that she was like the glimpse of glory that Justin brought up earlier. How when you, like, the friends you have, you should be able to see a glimpse of glory of heaven within them. And that's what today is all about, Heavenbound. And that the friends that we're making right now, and that the friends we currently have, it's like the bond we have with them, it should not just stop when we die. It should be for eternity. The day we make it to heaven, they'll be up there too with us. And that's what I want to stress to you guys, is that we should be making friends that bring us closer to heaven, and we should be doing the same for others, that we should be the people to help others get to heaven. All right, next. Love you too. Oh wait, sorry, can we go back one? That movie is called To Save a Life, and if you were at Blaze and SoFlo 2 years ago, we watched it. And I highly recommend it because it really shows like the true values of friendship. And the main character went through a lot of stuff. He was like your stereotypical jocks we see in the TV shows and movies. So he really didn't know himself, and he was just letting everybody tell him what to do. But one day he finally grew the courage to step down and talk to another kid. And eventually, like it's called the title, he saved the kid's life. All right, next slide. So true friendship is also, it's not possessive or jealous. And what I mean by that is our friends and ourselves, we have our own schedules, we have our own routines, we have other friends, we have family stuff. I get what it's like being in high school, being super busy, even college too. So it's important to recognize that our friends have other things to do and that they also have other friends. We need to respect them, and we need to make sure that we're not trying to be like, oh my gosh, Sally ditched me last week, so she's not my friend anymore. Like, that's not the case. She probably had something to do. So just remember that when you think that your friends are forgetting about you, that they aren't, and that you need to be able to trust in them and be able to know that you can depend on them even if Sally ditches you for like last week's movie. I don't know. All right, next slide. All right, so true friendship builds each other up in love. And what do I mean by that? It's that the friends that you make should be telling you how to become a better person, that they shouldn't be holding you back from doing the things that you want to do, and that they should be encouraging you to be the best version of yourself. And what I want to touch on with this is gossiping. And I know it's an issue that some of us probably have. I know it can occur in me sometimes. And it's just like, it's the devil working in all his ways. And we shouldn't be like that. We should be defending our friends. And there was one Jack's assembly I went to where whoever was speaking that day, he was telling the youth that, because I think he was from SFC, he was telling the youth about building up your dreams and stuff, but in the way that when you want to build up your dreams, you should also be doing it within your spiritual life. So he told them, he was like, if you guys want to be a doctor, then you got to heal the pain of your friend that a Band-Aid couldn't do. If you want to be a lawyer, defend your friends, defend your faith. And so that really, like, it hit, because, like, wow, we never thought that that our life within the church could ever incorporate into our daily lives. And so when we're building each other up in love, we should be able to tell other people the goodness of what our friends bring to us, that our friends are saints in the works next to us, that they're the glimpse of glory that we can see in our everyday lives, and that they are the angels sent from above that are on this ground physically. So without further ado, I'd like to bring up a sharer that will tell her story about how God worked in ways even with a broken friendship. I've known this sister for a while. I think it's been 3 years. I'm super proud of who she's becoming and the person that she's going to be. And I've seen her grow, and I'm immensely proud. So without further ado, from South Florida, specifically Miami, give it up for Jaja Aguilar. All right, thank you so much. That was beautiful, and I'm so proud of you. You know that. Um, okay, so Jaja just shared her story about how she was broken. And I told you guys that in one of the, can you put my slides back up by any chance? Is it, oh, okay. No problem. So I told you guys that we should be building each other up in love. So it's merely like defending your friends and defending who they are. So my story about that is when I was a senior in high school, there was a girl in my class, and she was practically bullied every day by other people in our class. Raise your hands if you watch 13 Reasons Why. All right. So I hate to make this analogy, but the people who like hurt Hannah Baker is like equivalent to the people that were hurting this girl in my class. They would torment her every day. And it came to the point where she stopped coming to school. And I tried to encourage her to come back because before winter break, I finally reached out to her, even though I thought there would be consequences to me doing it. I thought that those people would make fun of me too for actually trying to build a friendship with this person. But I pushed that aside, and I was like, she probably really needs some prayers and friends right now. So I started reaching out to this girl, and I was like, hey, I missed you at school. I'll send you the math notes if you want. And she would be like, thank you so much. Just keep doing it every day. So then winter break comes along, and then we celebrated Christmas. I gave her a birthday card. And then I'm back in class, and she didn't show up. So I was like, okay, maybe she just didn't want to go, because who wants to come back after a 2-week break? And then a week passes by, and I was like, all right, this is not okay. Like, a week is a lot of truancy. So I reached out to her again, and I was like, where have you been? Do you still want the math notes? And she told me, she was like, I don't think I'm coming back. And like, that hurt. Like, the fact that people were able to push this girl to not come back to school, like, are you proud? Like, I just didn't understand that. Like, how could anybody do that to somebody? Like, that she doesn't even want to go back to finish regular high school, that she has to get homeschooled. So along the lines, it was a personal choice whether I wanted to keep in contact with this person or not, because if she's not going to show up to school, then I don't have to talk to her. But I realized, like, okay, that this girl probably really needs some prayers and some friendship, because, no offense, I love my parents too, but I'm pretty sure she didn't want to have to live the rest of the school year just talking to her parents every day. So I stepped up and I was like, let's hang out. And she finally let me hang out with her, and then we hung out. And so graduation day comes along. I know my timestamps are literally like fast forward. But graduation day is coming, and she's like, I don't want to go. I'm scared that they're going to be mean to me again. And I encouraged her. I was like, just go. Like, you work so hard not to go. I mean, 4 years of IB, which she didn't get to finish, unfortunately. But she didn't get the diploma either, but she did get to graduate. So I reminded her that. I was like, 4 years of IB and you want to stop? So I was like, come, and I'll be right by your side no matter like who says something or what happens. And in the end, like, it was okay, like, for the both of us. And if I've learned anything from this friendship, even though she told me I was the one that like saved her and helped her, I've learned a lot more from her than I thought she learned from me. And what I mean by that is, like, I learned how to be there for somebody else when they're in need. What it means to be a true friend, even when you got other eyes on you. Because I know high school's tough. Like, I know the superficialness that happens, the stereotypes, and knowing, like, that you're afraid that you're not going to fit in. I've been there, done that. I know what it's like. And at that point, we're already about to graduate. But even then, I told her, I was like, I wish I did something 2 years ago. And I feel like for us, since we're so young and we're always practicing our faith, that we have the ability to change somebody else's life like that. And it's never too late. And I highly encourage you guys to step out of your comfort zones. And if you ever think that somebody's out there to judge you, just remember the only judge we have out there is God himself. So, true friendship seeks the good in one another. And I put a Bible verse up there, which is 1 Thessalonians 5:11. And it says, encourage one another and build each other up. So there are certain aspects in our life that make us who we are. So one of the things that we do that makes us who we are is some of us have talents, whether it be sports, whether it be playing an instrument, speaking. I don't know. I'm running out of talents here. I'm going blank. But writing, famcom, music, acting, singing, dancing, all the workshops we're about to do today. You should be making, your friends should be the ones encouraging you to strive in those talents. They should be telling you that you can do it no matter what you think, even if you think that you can't get up there and play the piano at your talent show. Know that your friends out there will support you and that they want the best for you, and that they should be seeing that you can do it even if you think you can't. Friends that encourage you to study. So I had a problem in high school where like my sleep cycle was like a bit off, and by a bit off it was like really off. It'd be like get home at school, maybe like 3 o'clock. Netflix. Oh my gosh, it's 5 o'clock. Let me take a nap. So then like 5 to 8, I took a nap, and then my parents were like, dinner's ready. So then like 8 to 10, dinner. And then, oh my gosh, it's 10 o'clock. My homework's still not done. Oh, look at Netflix again. Here we go. So 10 to 12, Netflix. OMG, time to do my homework. So like 12 to 3, I do my homework. And then it was no secret too. Like my siblings, one of them is in the back right now. They knew what I was like. And so when I'm taking naps, they're like, this is why Jamie's tired. Like, don't feel bad. But yeah, so then 12 to 3, I was up. And then 3 to 5, I'd watch another movie because what's the point of going to sleep? And so now that I finally have it together, kind of, I hope, my roommates are actually like the best people when it comes to my study routines. They take away my phone to make sure that I'm not using it. And then the cherry on top, they hide the remote from me to make sure I'm not watching TV instead of not studying. And those are like, I'm not saying make your friends hide the remote because that's really extreme. That's how addicted I am to TV. But like friends should encourage you to study more. They should tell you that you should study instead of like if let's say Joni invites me to go to Disney and I have an exam the next day and I'm like, oh, I can't. I have an exam, but I want to go. And then she's like, you shouldn't. You have an exam. See, she's a good friend. She told me to study for my exam. So those are the types of friends that you should be making in order to succeed in school. That your friends should want you to be as successful as much as you want to be successful in your life. The next thing up there is your friends should encourage you to be a patriot to your country. And what I mean by that is that Happy Veterans Day, we just celebrated it yesterday, they should encourage us to love where we are, where we live, and to be thankful for the things we have where we are, because there's other places around the world that are suffering, and we have so much more than we realize. And one of the things that one of the missionaries told me a couple years ago, or he said it at one of the retreats, he was like, you guys don't realize, but even like a clean glass of water is a big deal, and it is. So when I complain about not having Zephyr Hill, somebody please stop me. Friends also encourage you to mend your relationships with your families. And by that, it's like, let's say I'm mad that my mom wouldn't let me go out. And I'll be like, oh my gosh, Jen, I hate my mom. Jen's back there. But we love our mom. I would never say that, but that's just an example. And she's just like, yeah, I agree. I hate her too. No, that's wrong. She should be like, Jamie, just give the lady some patience. And that's what friends should do. They should be encouraging you to see the goodness in your parents, see the goodness in your siblings, that no matter what's happening, that you can mend things up with your family. Friends should encourage you to hang out with your family more. And I can attest that I've seen like kids that don't want to hang out with their parents, and I'm just like, man, I don't get it. I like my parents. But that's like, but in the end, we should, as friends, we should be encouraging our other friends to be with our families and to love them more each and every day, even when things get hard. And the last thing about true friendship, seeking the good in one another, is encouraging each other to be a friend of the poor, to do charity for others. And I know in high school, I literally had to do the community service because like it's a requirement. I need to graduate. And IB made me do extra, CAS. And I was like, what am I doing? Like, why do I have to log this in? But it's important that we're a charity to the others in the world that need our help. And it's been like an eye-opening to see some of the things that we take for granted around here. Freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom to do the things that we want, that we can go outside and feel safe, whereas in other places we can't do that. And so it compelled me, God willing, and I'm still praying about it because I just applied. I applied for the summer to go on a mission trip to Malaysia, and I hope I get it. And it's going to be a real test for me because my friends know that I'm a little bit of a, I don't know how to put it into words. They don't think I can survive this. And I'm going to do it. I'm going to survive because I want to help others. And I think charity is a really important factor. And we should be willing to help our hands to the other people in life that need our hands. All right, next slide. Yeah! All right, so last one is that true friendship is a two-way street. So what I mean by that is that we should be doing the extra mile for our friends. And I know it's hard because in the story I told you guys earlier, this girl wouldn't text me back. And her read receipts were on too. So I was hurt. And I was like, I should just give up because if she's not going to text me back, then I shouldn't do it. But I didn't, and I went that extra mile and pushed myself, even though I didn't want to at times. But, you know, it's the right thing to do, as it says up there. And with going the extra mile, going to college, I left behind my West Palm babies. And so Pat came to me before the school year started, and he was like, Jamie, do you still talk to them? And then I was like, yeah, sometimes, but like they know that the phone is a two-way street, like they can always text me. And he's like, no, you should text them. And so I made them my priority, and like they mean a lot to me. So despite busy schedules, and I know that they're busy too, I make time to make sure that they're okay in whatever's happening back at home. And for that, I'm still thankful that the bonds remain back there and that there's still more friendships and more members that we're gaining. And to let you all know, even though I said like the phone works two ways for West Palm, it works for all of you too. I'll be out here for you guys whenever you want. I'll be praying for you, service team and participants and parents, no matter what we're doing. And so yeah, there's Drake and Josh. All right, next slide. All right, so what does this mean in all the end? So as YFC, we are called to be better friends to one another. We're called to serve others and to spread love no matter where we go. And so what friendship truly is, besides the examples I showed you, is that it is a gift from God. It is something that when we look at the person next to us or somebody dear in our life, that when we see them, we see the glimpse of glory in heaven, from heaven, and we see a glimpse of Jesus within them. And it is a source of joy. It is life-giving and life-building. And our friendships shouldn't just stop like when you're like, all right, we're comfortable with each other. I know her, she knows me. You should keep going. Keep doing the best you can to get to know this person more. And remember that it is the good friends that motivate you to be the best version of yourself. That they don't tell you to do the sin of omission. That they don't tell you to skip church because we're tired because of Disney. And that remember that the source of all friendships is God. And that when you look at I said it earlier, when you look at the person next to you, truly see Jesus. So I put the picture up of Peter and Jesus when they were walking on water because Peter doubted Jesus in a sense of being, first of all, a savior and the fact that he could walk on water. But when he said, Jesus, I trust in you, immediately Peter was able to walk on water. And that's our relationship with Jesus. It's like, no matter how much we doubt, he still pulls us back up. And I do want to close off with two things. So raise your hands if you watch Beauty and the Beast, the newest edition with Emma Watson. I almost said Stone. Emma Stone. All right, so Reflex. As awesome as it was to watch that film, I really like the concept of that Disney movie because it really showed like if the way you felt and acted on the inside was shown on your physical appearance on the outside, would you change who you really are? And it questions like who we want to be and the person we're meant to be. So the last quote I want to close on before we move on to the next activity. I've been reading a book called 13 Powerful Ways to Pray by Father Eamon Tobin. Book club, shout out to the book club. Yeah, woo, book club. All right, so every week Pat's like, can you guys type in a quote that really stuck to you? So one quote that I can't get out of my mind in anything I do every day is that Father Eamon Tobin said, the way you treat people is the way you treat God. And that hit hard. So treat people right, but as the weekend continues on, I want you guys to keep an open heart, an open mind. I want you guys to become friends with other people, to build better relationships within your area and back at home with your family. And I highly encourage you to also be the friend that gets your other friend to heaven and vice versa. And with that being said, may God be praised.